Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, episode 17. As this is being recorded on a Thursday night, the night before opening day. Ideally we would have caught up with tonight's guest on Monday, after this weekend series, but the travel plans did not allow that. But excited to have him on the show nonetheless. Campbell's first-year head coach, Chris Marx. Coach Marx, we appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Excited to be here and be talking baseball now that the spring is upon us.
Yes, sir. Former Campbell head coach, Justin Hare, who was your coach, and also you coached under there at Campbell. He's someone that we had the privilege of talking to several times down through the years. And, as a result, with Game 4 between the Pirates and Camels, always being a thing, we joked that there were death, taxes, and East Carolina playing Campbell in Game 4 that were certainties in life. But before we dive into that, I wanted to talk a little about your background. Just shy of 2 decades in the business, and like I mentioned, you had played for Justin Hare. I believe that was at the Division II level, but you got your coaching start at Southern Indiana, a program that has since transitioned to Division I, and also had a stop at Arkansas Little Rock. And then, as I mentioned, 5 seasons, maybe 6 there at Buies Creek before spending the last 5 in the Big Ten at Purdue. But just give us a little of your coaching history. One of the things that jumped out to me was how you had extensive success both as a pitching coach and as a hitting coach.
Yeah. So that's all correct, right? Justin Hare recruited me actually to a little place similar to Buies Creek, actually, a little school, Division II school called Washita Baptist in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. I played under him for 2 years after he recruited me there, and we won 50 games my senior year, and Justin was able to move on from there the same year I graduated. He went to Campbell and worked for Coach Goff at Campbell, while I went back to Southern Indiana, which was my hometown, and was fortunate enough to win a national championship there at the Division II level with Southern Indiana in 2010, and then actually went and worked first at the University of Arkansas Little Rock for Scott Norwood, who was Justin's boss, our head coach at Washita. Coached with him for 2.5 years. Before joining Justin when he took over as the head coach at Campbell. So, I was just fortunate to I guess get, have the trust of the guys that I worked for immediately because I had played for them, and so my first year at Arkansas Little Rock, I was the hitting coach, and, we actually led the country in home runs per game that year. And I think we were 27 and 28. And so when our pitching coach left, I basically just, Coach Norwood didn't have, a long list of names, for the pitching position. And, and I told him, just hire the best guy and I'll do whatever. And so he ended up hiring another hitting coach, and I moved over to pitching and, had success there. But Justin knew me as a hitting guy and recruiting guy, so I got hired as a hitting guy, and did the hitting here at Campbell for 2.5 years, and then switched over to pitching for the last 2.5 years, and then went to Purdue to work with Coach Goff, who was Justin's former boss at Campbell, before getting an opportunity to come back here as the head coach.
If you would, that is pretty unique, the background you have on both the hitting and pitching side. And with that being the case, give our listeners just the way being one has benefited you in the other role.
So I think, it was, they're very similar, right? The kinetic chain works from the ground up, in both ways. And, I think the mental aspect of the game, plays a huge role. And, have found a lot of similarities between the two, being able to coach those things, right? And have had success doing that. And so, I think, initially when I made the jump, I did it with this job in mind, right? Being a head coach one day, I knew, jumping over to the pitching side would force me to learn it and be able to do it at a high level. And I just felt better, when I interviewed, pitching coaches, for the first time, and hitting coaches for the first time, right? I felt, confident in what I wanted, and I feel very excited about the staff that we have here at Campbell, because I already had a pretty good idea in mind of what I was looking for, and what I wanted out of those positions. And, and I'm able now as a head coach to have a hand in our entire team's development. I started the fall basically, with the pitchers every day, and partly just because, they had struggled a little bit on that side of the ball last year, and wanted to make sure they knew I was there. And then this spring I've spent a majority of my time with the offense. So, I think, all of us here are just trying to, to get in the trenches with our guys, and whatever it takes to try to help these men develop, and be able to continue the success that Coach Goff and Coach Hare have instilled upon this program.
Yeah, that success over the last 12 to 15 years, Coach Goff, early on, there was certainly a lot of hardship, but the administration there at Campbell was patient, and it really paid off in a big way. So much success before he elected to move on to Louisiana Tech, and then Justin Hare, who had been on staff, he really did an excellent job of taking it even farther. And it's a program that has been in multiple regional championships in recent years, one of which was in Greenville back in 2019. So East Carolina has, over the last several games, been on the short end against the Camels, several one-run ball games, of which Campbell has been on the right side. I think probably about at least 4 or 5 straight now. But with all that success that you alluded to with Coach Goff, and then also Justin Hare, and you having been there for part of that success, just elaborate a little on what made this job so appealing.
Yeah, so obviously it's big shoes to fill, right? Those guys, have done a tremendous job, along with Hannah Bazemore, the athletic director, and Bob Roller. Before her, continuing to push this program forward. We are very fortunate to have, the group of supporters, and donors that we have that have helped, turn Campbell into, a beautiful facility, and a destination school for a lot of people. And it's funny you mentioned 2019. Those were actually my last 2 games in a Campbell uniform, right? I remember, those 2 losses well, where East Carolina was able to move on to the Super Regionals, and and then I actually moved on to Purdue after that. But we spent 5 years here. My wife and I loved it. We love the people. It's a smaller scale as far as the supporters here, but they're very passionate, and they want to do right by our guys, and for this athletic department. And we love the small community feel, and same thing. We just want to continue to push the program forward.
As I take a look at this team, projected by the media, or I guess perhaps coaches, 4th out of 12 in the CAA, the Coastal Athletic Association, a very good baseball league, with the likes of UNC Wilmington, College of Charleston, Northeastern, who were the top 3 in the preseason poll. And just your thoughts on this league before we dive into some of the personnel.
Yeah, it is. It's a league that's been in the top 10 in the country in conference RPI the last 2 years, right? Seventh last year, and then 10th the year before. I have 4 programs that were listed in the top 100 programs in the country on D1 baseball, with us and those other 3 that you mentioned that were picked in the top 3. And I have some familiarity. Obviously, we played UNC Wilmington and College of Charleston. When I was here as an assistant. One or multiple times a year, and a little bit less familiar with some of the schools in the Northeast. Although we did play Stony Brook last year, and just excited to see the level of baseball that's in this league. I've been on several conference calls with the coaches, and want to push to where this is a multiple bid league. Moving forward, it was knocking on the door of a 3-bid league last year with, College of Charleston and Northeastern both, right around the 40th RPI mark. And, I think it's a league that can get multiple bids year in and year out, and excited to be a part of a very competitive baseball conference.
One of the big storylines for East Carolina has undoubtedly been 31 new players in the program. Tell us the general makeup of your roster. How many new pieces did you bring in, and both from the high school ranks and from the transfer portal? And then we'll dive into some of the specific names.
Yeah, so I think it's 23 new overall. I think Campbell was a big story in the summer because after a few days after the coaching departure, almost the entire team was in the transfer portal. And so a lot of the guys, even though they're not new, they had to make the decision to come back here, which. I was very clear with those guys, how special of a place this was. Our school has been to 5 of the last 6 regionals, and and we're very aware of what it takes to be successful in the orange and black. And we just wanted 40 guys that wanted to put into work to see this program be successful. And so I'm excited about the group that we have. Maybe not super proven or experienced, but it does not lack talent. On either the offensive or pitching side of things, and just excited to kick the season off tomorrow.
Let's start positionally. Andrew Schultz, your catcher, started 41 games a season ago, and then Dalen Thompson, an outfielder, 46 games started. Both of them hit over 300, considerable power, and a lot of production in 2024.
Yeah, those guys will be staples in our lineup here in 2025, and glad to have those guys back in the orange and black. And Dalen is a dynamic athlete, a guy that has all the tools to continue on and have a long career at the next level. Andy has been awesome. I think he's improved a bunch defensively. I think he was kind of thrown in the fire last year when Grant Knipp got injured, and is a guy that is a worker, right? He's one of the first guys to the field every day, and both of those guys will be leaders for us this year. And if we're going to go offensively, a lot of the workload is going to be put on those 2 guys, in the top 3 to 5 spots somewhere.
In addition to Schultz and Thompson, tell us about some of the other guys that have stood out both in the fall and, of course, here in the preseason.
Yeah, Jonah Osters is a guy that is a returner that had sparing at bats last year, but put together a really good fall and early spring, and is a guy that will move over to second base for us this year. At least early in the year, but a guy that'll be right there in the middle of the order. I think he's. I think he has made a little bit of a leap and is ready to be an everyday player for us. Charlie Meglio is a guy that had a very solid freshman campaign, and I think he only hit 275 with 9 home runs, but had a fairly long skid towards the end of the year that probably put together a better body of work. For the first 40 games than what his numbers would suggest. And he's a guy with really good tools and talent that, same thing will be a big piece for us in the middle of the order. There's Ben Karpowitz, same thing, a transfer from Gaston Community College, one of the guys that has been at the Division I level. He transferred out of there from Illinois State, has been very consistent for us. He's got some power in there. we'll get some time at first base and left field. Aaron Smigelski is a guy that's broke his hand, broke a finger, sliding in an inner squad a couple weeks ago. He will be a big piece for us this year. He was a freshman All-American. Didn't have, as much success after that, but, we feel like he's kind of gotten back to what made him successful, early in his collegiate career and has a chance to be, a big piece of the middle of our order. And then there's several guys with some tools and talent, like I said, that maybe not experienced or proven, but just need to get into the fire and get some at bats at this level, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
One of the things that really helped this program, go to that next level and be consistently in regionals and doing well in regionals is because of the way Coach Hare and staff were able to really bring in some better arms and take the pitching staff to that next level. And having an abundance of guys that had high velocity, but just also excellent secondary stuff as well. Tell us about your pitching staff here in 2025.
Yeah, so we got a couple guys, that'll kind of anchor our rotation at least early. That our guys, like you mentioned, with really good stuff. Both are coming off of injuries. So Jake Murray's a guy that'll start for us on Friday nights to start the year. He's a guy that had 3 really good starts in the middle of the week 2 years ago. And then ended up having UCL injury and having Tommy John. And so he missed all of last year, but he's a 6-year senior and, was ranked as one of the top 150 starting pitchers by D1 baseball and, has the tools and talent to be a guy for us this year. And then David Rossa will start this week on Saturday. Same thing, has been up to 96 with good secondary stuff. Started his career at the University of Miami, and has not seen success yet in his collegiate career, but put together a good fall and feel like he has grown a lot from the mental side of things. We need, we will be better if he is good for us this year. So, a couple of the returning guys, Zach Sabers, a guy that made some starts on Friday night for these guys last year. He's out, for a couple weeks, just getting back healthy. And then Cooper Clark, a guy that would have started for us this weekend. If he was healthy as well, he won't miss much time. He will probably be back ready to go. By Tuesday, I would think, at East Carolina, in some fashion, but those guys are all talented enough to kind of follow along that path, right? Of your, Thomas Harringtons and Cade Keelers and Seth Johnsons and, that have that top end, kind of talent, that can help us, continue the strides that this program has made.
And final thing for you, Coach, as I mentioned in the lead in, we're recording this on the eve of opening day against UCSB. The Gauchos traveled to Buies Creek a year ago. Justin Hare and staff, led the Camels to a series win, taking 2 out of 3. Mm-hmm. The Gauchos were ranked 17th last year. They're ranked 22nd to start this year, and per D1 baseball. What have you seen out of them, and what are the keys to victory, and what you're looking forward to the most this weekend in this series that's matching up to the better programs in recent years?
Sure. Well, it is a very talented pitching staff that they have, with guys returning. Tyler Bremner is who they'll start against us tomorrow night, and he's the number 1 projected right-handed pitcher in college baseball. He's projected to go number 2, I think, overall in the 2025 draft right now. So we will be tested right away. A guy that's 94 to 97 with a plus changeup and a slider, and we'll find out. Our guys will be thrown into the fire. Guys with not a whole lot of collegiate at bats under their belt will be tested early, and then same thing on Saturday. We'll face another guy. That has threw his first pitch in an inter squad a couple weeks ago at 99. Right, he'll be 97 to 99, and we will we'll see kind of where we stand against those guys, right? But it'll take we will have to pitch it well. We will not we don't anticipate to be lighting up the scoreboard this weekend, but I think our pitching staff has really developed. Had a great fall and early spring, and we trust those guys to keep us in games, and we if we can, get a couple hits to fall and somebody lose one, then we'll have a chance.
Really appreciate the time, Coach. Best of luck this weekend against UCSB, and we look forward to catching up with you down the road and whenever the Pirates and Campbell square off.
Awesome. Look forward to being over there on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Pirate Nation, that is first-year Campbell head coach Chris Marx. We appreciate his time, and definitely be sure to follow us on social media on Instagram and X. We can be found at Jungle Tales Pod, and then on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify, you can find the show by simply searching Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast. But again, for Campbell head coach Chris Marx, I'm Bubba Rosenbaum. You've been listening to Jungle Tales and our second edition of On Deck as we get you ready for East Carolina's upcoming opponent. We'll talk to you soon, and as always, go Pirates.